Good morning. I am sending my book to beta readers tomorrow, but I don't feel ready. I think the manuscript is ready, but I'm not. So today we're going to be doing a sort of vlog style video where you get to see me go through my day, but we're also going to be talking about some very productive things. We'll be discussing how I prepared my book for beta readers. We'll talk about what I included in the email that I'm sending them so they can beta read my book. We'll also be discussing what I'm hoping to learn from beta readers, and we'll also be discussing some of my fears of sending my book to beta readers because I'm not as confident as I'd like to be this time around. Anyways, so far it's just me and the little guy awake today, so let's get ready for the day. So I've been editing my manuscript for the past month or so while postpartum with 2 kids, and things have been a little chaotic, but I wanted to talk about my editing process that I've done for this manuscript to prep it for beta readers. So the first thing I've been doing is that I've basically just been doing a basic read through of the manuscript itself, and I edit it as I go. It's more so line by line edits, and I try, if I have to hop around within the chapter rather than through multiple chapters, if that makes any sense. Basically, if I had to edit something outside that chapter, I would write it down as a note to myself, and then once I finished reading through the entire manuscript, would then go back and do all the hopping around. So the first read through I did was the most time consuming, I would say, where we're editing things on a line by line basis. And then at the end of doing that first read through of the manuscript, I would then go back through the manuscript, hopping around to edit specific scenes to make them more sense or to add things in, that sort of thing. I felt like that was the most time-saving way to do it. I don't think it would work that way for every manuscript, but because I had such little hopping around I needed to do, it made sense to do that this way. And then speaking of notes, because it's just a note section on my notes app, was notes for editing. I also had notes for beta readers. As I was editing, I was like, I think this is good, but I'm a little self-conscious of it. I would write it down as a question for beta readers that I would add into my Google form, which I'll talk about later in this video. But yeah, that was my editing process, just a basic read through, doing really line intensive edits, and then another read through doing more plot overall edits. I actually, now that I say it that way, that sounds a little backwards, but it's what worked really well this time. Anyways, it's now time to wake up my daughter and get our day really started. I'm dressed, my husband's with the kiddos. It is filming day today. I have 3 videos to film today if you count this one. So let's get to it. In case you're wondering, yes, I do change my outfit between filming videos when I film multiple in one day. I just filmed both of my postpartum videos, so you'll see those coming up soon, because I think this video will go live first. But I have my video about my birth experience and then my video about my postpartum experience. Obviously, the little guy is here when he wasn't before. He would not nap for my husband, so I just plopped him in the carrier and said, since it's a video about postpartum, he's going to be a co-star in the video. So he fell asleep now, and he's being very cute. It's lunchtime, my husband's going to work, and my daughter's going to be going down for a nap, which means I can almost get to actually work that's not filming a video soon. If you hear weird grunting, it's because my son's right next to me and he's chowing down on his hand and refuses to take a pacifier. Let's get back to talking about editing. Because now that the editing is all done, what am I sending to my beta readers? First things first is the manuscript itself. I send the manuscript as a PDF. Never mind, he's joining us. So I'm sending my manuscript as a PDF just so it's not so easy to copy and paste. I would like to send it as a Google Doc so people could like make notes in the margins, but I'm just not that trusting because I've never worked with the majority of these people before. I'm sending Google surveys. I put a Google survey every 3 to 5 chapters or so, and they're questions that are specific to that chapter as well as just general questions. And we'll talk about what's exactly in the survey in a little bit because I actually haven't created the survey for this book in particular yet, but I do this process basically every time I beta read now. And lastly, there's the email itself. So the email itself is pretty long. It just kind of lists out my expectations and some guidelines, as well as like reminding beta readers of the due date of when it needs to be finished being read by and when they need to fill out the surveys by. Obviously, there's no like enforcing of this if they don't finish on time. There's nothing I can do. It's more just like, here's my expectations. Anyways, I think it's time to switch to baby wearing because this little man is due for a nap and I want to get some work done in the office. We've encountered a problem because at approximately 8 a.m. this morning, I had a little bit of an epiphany because there was something about my story that was bothering me and I couldn't exactly pin down why. And then I did. I was like, oh, maybe if Anna is a cousin rather than a best friend, this part of this plot makes more sense. Mind you, someone's hungry right now. Anna is the antagonist of our story. So while she's not like the main character, she's pretty prevalent in our stories. And to change her from a best friend to a cousin is a lot of rewriting. And when I first thought of it, I was like, you know what, I'll ask betas what they think. And it was when I was putting that question into the Google form that I realized, why am I asking this question when I know in my gut this is the fix that needs to happen? And by not just fixing it now, I might not get as much of a good of a feedback out of my betas than if I just fix it now and give them the what I believe is the better version of the story. So now I have to do this, and I wouldn't call it a major rewrite, but it's not simple. It's not like just editing one chapter. It's going back through every chapter where Anna is in it or mentioned to make sure she's mentioned in a way that she is a cousin rather than a best friend. Because when she's a cousin, it makes more sense. Let me try to explain the plot of my book to you. So we have Anna and Cassie. Cassie's our main character. Anna's the antagonist. Anna and Cassie in the first version were best friends. And Anna sleeps with Cassie's boyfriend. Obviously they break up. Obviously the friendship ends. Anna and ex-boyfriend end up getting engaged, and Anna has a bachelorette trip in Rome. Cassie obviously wants nothing to do with this. Cassie's mom doesn't know that Anna and Cassie had a falling out. Cassie's mom wants to be the best mom ever and buys the plane ticket to Rome so Cassie can go to Rome for the bachelorette trip because she thinks Cassie isn't going to Rome because she can't afford it, when in reality she just doesn't want anything to do with Anna. So Cassie now has this plane ticket to Rome. She meets Asher, our lovely male main character. And anyways, the gist I'm trying to get at is the whole best friend thing. It works, but it would work better if Anna is a cousin. And Anna is someone that Cassie hangs out with more out of obligation than because they used to be friends. Although they did used to be friends, but as they've gotten older, they've drifted apart. But because they're cousins and family, they're still expected to like make peace. But obviously, Cassie doesn't want anything to do with that. So anyways, for that reason, the plot works a lot better if Anna is a cousin. But as you can probably imagine, that's going to require a lot of rewriting on my part. So I have to do that. I don't have to do this by tomorrow, but I want to so I can get it off my plate. Because basically my life has revolved around editing this book and I need to move on. I'm trying to figure out how to start working again, how to start filming videos again, how to do all that, but I'm trying to really focus in on this book so I can get it done and off to beta readers, and while it's off to beta readers, I can get my life together, and then hopefully by the time it's back from beta readers, I have my life figured out a little bit, and maybe we're not doing contact naps 24/7. I don't know. There's also one other little scene I have to rewrite, but now that's seeming really simple compared to this. But anyways, as I've been making these Google forms to ask my beta readers questions, I'm realizing that these questions I need to ask, some of them I know the answer to, and I just need to get better at editing. With that said, let's talk about how I'm going to be collecting this feedback. So, like I said, there's Google Forms. I have a Google form for Chapter 1, a Google form for Chapter 2 through 7, 8 through 14, 15 through 22, 23 through 30, and then the ending of the book as a whole. So I kind of have a formula for the types of questions that I ask. Every single form asks these same questions. The initial thoughts and reactions on the chapter. The pacing, are there any points where the story dragged, where things were too fast? Characters, were the characters believable? And does it make sense? Is there anything that confused you, didn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. So those questions I ask in every single form. And then there's other questions that are specific to that section or chapter. So, for example, the question at the end of Chapter 1 is, if this was a random book you picked up based on just this first chapter, would you continue reading the book just based off this first chapter? Or another example is for Chapter 8 through 14. One of the questions is, the two main love interests don't meet until Chapter 9. Even though they don't meet until Chapter 9, was the drama of the beginning of the story still enticing enough to get to Chapter 9? Or I word it something like that. So anyways, I have these Google Forms, and what I do is whatever their correlating chapters are, I go into the manuscript and paste it as a link at the end of that chapter. So for the Chapter 2 through 7, at the end of Chapter 7, there will be text that says, click here to fill out the survey, and it'll be a link to the survey. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. As well as the email. The email, like I said, has a list of expectations, blah, 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 but it also has all the surveys linked there as well. So if they, for some reason, have issues clicking on the survey link in the document itself, they can click on the survey link in the email. And another problem I'm having with this manuscript that I've never had before is these days I try to, for every book I write a bonus scene. And that bonus scene is a scene that you can read for free if you sign up for my newsletter. So for Sparks in Iceland, after you got to the end of the book, you were like, oh yay, fun story. But then there was a QR code, or in the ebook there was a link to read the free bonus scene. And when you click that link, it brought you to BookFunnel, where you would have to sign up for my newsletter to read the free chapter. So I like to write a free chapter. The issue with this book is that I have two ideas for free chapters. And the reason why I have two is, one is a chapter that is very much focused on our two love interests. It's just like a fun, cutesy, romantic chapter. The second option is a bonus scene that is through the point of view of one of the side characters, Eloise, but Eloise ends up being the main character for book 3 in the series. So it feels a little weird giving her the bonus chapter, but her bonus chapter is a very high drama event. So even though it's not like I can include it in the book itself because it's through her point of view and the other two main characters weren't there to witness what happened. It might be a fun way to like dip into Eloise's story, but I don't know. So that's a question I'm asking beta readers, is which chapter would they prefer to read? Granted, I haven't written either chapter yet, so these are the things I'm struggling with. I'm feeling a little bit more scattered brain than usual. And speaking of scattered brain, let's now launch into what my fears have been with receiving beta feedback this time around, because this is the most unprepared I've ever felt getting feedback from beta readers. And the reason why is attached to my chest right now. He's very cute, but he's very distracting and very time consuming. So because of this little guy between him and my daughter, who don't typically nap at the same time, but for some reason they are today, they're very time consuming, and I've only been able to work in small pockets of time. Like if I can actually work for an hour, that's a really good day. Most of the time it's 10 minutes to like a half an hour. And doing like edits to a manuscript that involve like heavy rewriting is very hard to do in small pockets of time, because you really gotta like turn your brain on, and sometimes you're hopping around from chapter to chapter. It's really hard to do that when you're editing. Working in small pockets of time is easier to do when you're writing a first draft. It's not so easy when you're rewriting, because there's just a lot more going on. On the bright side, I know this is an extremely temporary phase of my life. This guy is taking like anywhere from 5 to 45-minute naps right now, which makes getting anything done impossible, which is also why I just choose to baby wear him. I don't want to waste my time trying to rock him to sleep. I just plop him in the carrier and hope for the best. And so far, it's worked out great. He's happy, I'm happy, and I get to get things done. But the issue with my postpartum this time around is my first postpartum, I struggled a lot. And now this is my second postpartum. I'm not struggling so much. I did at the beginning. He's like 2.5 months old now, and I'm feeling fantastic, which is great, but my brain mentally is in the like pre-baby phase of work, and it's really hard to realize that that's not gonna happen in this phase. This is a very short phase of life, but like the amount of work I think I can accomplish is not the same as the amount of work I can actually realistically accomplish, and we're just figuring it out as we go. Another reason I'm super self-conscious is I'm working currently on writing the blurb for the book. And one of the things I do is I like to write the blurb for the book and then also let my readers give feedback on it. So that's something else I have to add to the surveys right now. So I wrote the blurb last night and I was like, oh, this is a good blurb. And then I questioned everything. I'm like, but does the blurb actually describe the book? Because the blurb is kind of making the book sound better than it actually is. But then I went back and would like look at the manuscript and be like, no, the book actually is like that. Like I'm questioning everything is what I'm trying to get at. Which brings me to the point that my memory right now, not great. Like, I forget things pretty easily, which makes editing very hard, which is also why when I go to write the blurb and I'm like, oh, this sounds good, but did I actually write the book that way? I have to look back and be like, yeah, I think I did, but does it actually come off that good? So my memory's just postpartum. And another one of my fears is that I just have a fear that I'm a lazy editor, that because I'm in this chaotic phase of life right now, that I'm editing the book to be good enough rather than the best it can be. And that's not the type of editor or writer I want to be. Hence why I'm talking to you guys about this little breakthrough, that the lazy editor in me would be like, let's just leave Anna as a best friend and edit her to be a cousin later if the beta readers think it's correct. That's the lazy editor, but I'm trying to be the proactive editor, and I'm going to go ahead and make that edit before I send it to beta readers so I'm not wasting everybody's time. And I'm also trying to get back into reading, and specifically I try to read rom-coms when I'm writing rom-coms, like right now. And I just read a rom-com I really liked. It was by Sarah Adams. I'll pop it up on the screen because I forgot the title of it. I really like that book, and I'm like, oh, that book is so good. And then I look at my book, I'm like, it sucks. I don't know. So this is the point in the editing journey where I'm going to make my last 2 edits that I need to make. They're big edits, but they're edits that need to happen. And once that's done, I'm done touching it. I'm done thinking about it. I'm sending it to beta readers because clearly I have overthought everything. So there comes a point in every time you're editing a book that you need to just give it a break, take a step back, and let someone else decide if it's good or not. Not all my beta readers are going to agree. Not all my beta readers are even going to like the book, and that's okay. That's why we get a decent handful of beta readers. I think I ended up choosing 6 or 7 beta readers, and I also have to account for the fact that some, like usually at least 1 or 2 beta readers fall off and they don't end up finishing the book. So, yeah. Anyways, my daughter is due to wake up in about a half an hour. He's due to eat soon. I'm probably going to wrap up work for now. I made notes on exactly what type of edits I want to do later tonight. So that's going to be what I'm doing tonight. But for now, I think we're just going to settle in. We're actually meeting up with a friend after my daughter wakes up from her nap to go on a little toddler-friendly hike. And then we'll be home for dinner. And then after the kiddos go to bed, it's back to work. It is 7:15. Both kids are in bed. I am exhausted. Want to know what level of exhaustion I am? I have walked 13,883 steps, and it's only 7 o'clock. I will probably walk another 1,000 or 2 steps before I go to bed. You can always tell when it's just me alone with the kids all day because I typically have to baby wear my son to get him to nap. And he doesn't like when I sit still. So when he naps, I'm walking. And it's quite literally the opposite of what they recommend. You know how they say sleep when the baby sleeps? Well, my son sleeps, I'm not even going to say how he sleeps at night because I don't want to jinx anything. My son does not sleep during the day very well at all unless he's on me or in someone else's arms. But when it's just me, he's in the baby carrier and I have to walk around. And that means I get a lot of steps in. And that means when he's finally asleep, I'm exhausted. To be totally honest, I have zero desire to keep working, but I'm going to give myself like a half an hour to just relax, chill, and then hopefully get into some work. So it is 9:15. I think I finished fixing the bigger edit that I needed to do of changing Anna from a best friend to a cousin. It actually ended up being much easier than I thought it was. It was a lot of rewriting for the first couple chapters of the book, but then everything else was more or less the same. What I ended up doing as I realized, you know, her personality was more or less the same. And it was really just the details at the beginning that needed to be changed. Once I edited the details at the beginning, I did a find and replace for the word best friend to cousin. 9 times out of 10, it worked to change it to cousin. And then when the term best friend didn't work, I just changed it to friend. To be like, they were close but already drifting apart, and then this happened, and then the whole thing blew up. And that just makes the characters' reactions to each other make a lot more sense. I still have to edit another thing, but I'm going to do that tomorrow because it's getting late, and when I work late into the night, I have a really hard time winding down before bed and falling asleep. And my son wakes up at least twice a night, so I can't afford to stay up all night. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you're interested in this book, please, please, please follow it on Kickstarter. When the Kickstarter hits 75 followers, I'm going to be sharing the official title. I've been calling it Project Italy right now, but it has an actual title. So follow so we can hit 75 followers on Kickstarter. It's completely free to follow. And then eventually we'll be also revealing the cover, which I technically haven't started working on yet. So once this is sent off to betas, that's next on my to-do list. So I will see you all in the next video.